I've just got 15 minutes because yesterday I've practiced quite a few times and it goes around 18 minutes, so I'll just start right now. And I prepared myself a cheat sheet just to not miss any point. So I will skip the self-introduction, maybe if you're interested, and I will do it in the Q&A section. So you guys, yeah, my name is Andy, and that's enough for this moment. The first point that I would like to make about how to speed up your language learning process is a method called comprehensible input. So comprehensible input, maybe some of you have heard about it. I didn't create this method. It's a method by Professor Stephen Krushen. He's a professor who studies language learning. So the main goal, the main gist, what is the whole idea of comprehensible input? It's about how to acquire a language rather than to learn a language. So actually, he points out that you acquire a language by understanding. So here I will do, because I believe that example gives you more understanding than a whole bunch of explanation. So I will do an interactive example. I will say some words. It's a negative example. That's not how you would like your language learning experience to be. 头发、眼睛、嘴巴、手、脚、鞋子. Because I've said it in Chinese, so I expect only me will understand. And I'll do it again, a positive example of implementing comprehensible input. So what is comprehensible input? 头发、眼睛、嘴巴、手、脚、鞋子. So I think more or less, you guys understand, right? What is 头发? Yeah, hair. 鞋子. Yes, shoes. That's all. So by just implementing, of course, it's really helpful at the first, but at the beginning stage, you really want to use comprehensible input to build some basic vocabularies. But throughout the whole process, you should still use this method. Okay, I think I've used 3 minutes already, so I go to the next point. I call it the mental character shift. Yes, it's okay. So what is the mental character shift? I think it's like a small, maybe habit that we don't even know that we are doing. Let's say I'm learning Russian. Yeah, I'm actually learning Russian. So before maybe I would say I'm learning Russian as my 3rd foreign language. Maybe English is my 2nd foreign language. But here the point is, I'm saying it's a foreign language. So now for me, I wouldn't use the word foreign anymore, because to me, it's like you're creating a barrier in your heart that every time when you're introducing yourself, you're telling your unconscious that it's foreign to me, I'm never going to be fluent. So what I suggest to do is to say, I'm a beginner in Russian, I'm a beginner in English, or intermediate, or I'm an advanced learner, I'm an advanced speaker in the language, rather than saying it's a foreign to me. So it's like a little shift that I think is useful. So let's go to the 3rd one. 3rd one I call it strategic learning. So it's strategic learning in the, also it's about the beginning of the language. You have to choose some words that you think you will use. So another example, let's say I'm going for a language learning book. Then the first chapter is about family. Okay, so what family language do we have? Okay, father, mother, dad, mom, grandmother, grandfather, and like the list goes on and on. You can find like numerous of names about this topic. But do you really want to use that much? Like when you're just starting out, it gives you a lot of stress. Okay, you go through the first chapter. Here, the 2nd chapter, fruits and vegetables. Melon, watermelon, lychee, mango, kiwi. So also maybe you can find hundreds of them. So what it means by strategic learning is to use your imagination, use your creativity. Let's say you just meet me and you want to ask some questions. Then if it happens to you that you want to speak Chinese, then maybe you should learn something like hi, right? Do you get? hi, or thank you, these kind of basic phrases first, that you know, you can predict, because it's logical that how a conversation will go. So you can pick these kind of phrases and words first, and then build up your whole vocabulary on it. Next one. Okay, the next one I call it focus on sound, or not how it looks like. So focus on sound. It means that because we are speaking language, we are not. Actually, language is a thing that we can only hear. We cannot. And yeah, another point. That the letters that we are reading right now actually it appears right. It's not that early. In the early stage, we just have sound. So we focus on the sound. So what really makes a difference between an intermediate or like a native speaker, an advanced speaker, is that advanced speaker can hear the sounds that are that are distinctive in the language. As a native speaker, we slur through every syllable actually when we're speaking. So you have to train your listening. So personally, I would suggest good listening skill in the first one, and then when you can hear the distinctive sound, then you can imitate it. That means you can speak. Also, it's how babies, how they learn to speak. So listening first place, speaking, and then reading and writing will just come by itself. You don't have to focus on it. Next one. The next point is use the known to learn the unknown. And I've given an example for myself is using monolingual dictionary. So what it means by using the known to learn the unknown. So again, you have a rather good basic vocabulary. Like my name is Andy, or I'm 19 years old. So you have these kind of phrases, and then you have to use the known to learn the unknown. That means maybe again, I like eating fruit. So you know this sentence. Maybe, and the next step that you want to do is maybe you can add some adjective. I like eating fruits because it's delicious and healthy. So using the word that you already know and build more, add some additional, like playing Legos, you build your base, and then you can use some more fancy elements and build. You have a strong base, and then using the base to have the talk. And yeah. Can anybody remind me how many minutes do I still have? 7. Okay, great. Okay, the sixth point is use your commuting time to do some listening. It's really, I think it's rather technical. It's not like a very secret advice, but I would suggest to everyone, if you drive, you can turn on radios or listen to some songs that you really like, or podcast. And again, I can only give my personal advice, right? So what I do usually is I go to, usually I don't take the bus because I live quite close to university. But when I have free time, I will do some walking. I will see the city, go for a walk, and just listen to some podcast. And okay, so we can do some reference to how to be happy. I'm fulfilling physical activity, and I'm learning languages at the same time. So it's actually a good way to do. Yeah, I really recommend doing some walking and podcasting at the same time. Okay, the seventh one, learn the necessary grammar on the way, but don't overdo it. Learn the necessary grammar, it means, okay, again, same example, I like eating fruits and vegetables. So here, what we can learn. So I like, and then eating, it's not I like eat. So here, okay, why I like eating. Then here, if you have some problems, then you can do some research, just look for a grammar book. Then okay, after like, I have to use or infinitive, or like a verb plus ing. So it's like a bit of grammar you're doing here, but you're not cramming the whole grammar book. So again, another example, like I am Andy. Here, what kind of grammar can you learn? And then you use the auxiliary verb, and you're not I are, I is. So here you can do a little bit of framework, and then it's the whole idea is this. Then you build up the sentence. If you want to say, if you want to express a condition, then you learn the conditional sentence. But you're not learning all the things at once. So you focus on speaking. You listen to the speakers, and then okay, some construction, some words that I don't understand, and then you refer to the book. Or you are going through the book and then finding those examples in real life. Recommend doing the vice versa. And yeah, this last one. Last one is called value real life experience in the language more than reading and doing exercises. So real life experience, what it means by real life experience, it means trying to use the language in real life, whatever was the situation, any scenarios. Like again, an example is like here I'm giving a speech how to speed up the language learning process. And for me, and maybe tomorrow, just in the future, when I'm searching my memory, then I will categorize, I will classify this whole experience as an English experience. And because I prepared for the speech, of course not a lot of time, but I'm prepared about it. So the word that I'm using, I have more association. I've invested my emotion and time in the language. So it's like an investment that you're doing. The more time you spend, and the more emotions that you put in the language, and you are going to recall, you are going to recollect the words more easily. Yeah, the last point, what it means by fluent. What it means by fluent is not the size of your vocabulary base. It's about how fast you can recall the words that you need at the moment. So it means by is my definition of fluency. So yeah, so the more real life experience that you're having, then it's easier for you to recollect the words because you have a lot of associations. I think that's the point, and yeah, that's the end of my speech. Thank you.
Thank you, man. That was cool. Okay, guys, do you have some questions? You have.
Andy?
Yes.
Hi. Tell me, please, in your experience, what is more difficult to learn, Russian language or English language?
I've actually thought about it, and I would say, if I was a person have only know his native language, then I would say Russian is a lot harder. But because English is my second language that I have contact with, and I would say always the first language that you're trying to learn, despite your mother tongue, is the hardest. So for me, I had a lot of struggles with English before. So personally for me, English was harder. But now I'm not saying Russian is not hard because I had experience with learning languages. So now it comes to me that Russian is not that hard to learn.
So you're using all your tips to learn Russian?
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you.
Good, thanks. Who's willing this?
Thank you very much for your speech. It was really helpful. And my question concerns the upper level of studying English. So, for example, if a person tends to use in his own language, in his native language, simple structures and simple words, like, the day is fine, the work is hard, so the weather is good, but there are lots and lots of synonyms, different synonyms. So how to use this if you don't use it enough in your native speech and your brain is not used to doing that? Mm-hmm.
I will try to recall the question is how to identify the difference between synonyms. Because I distract a little bit. Can you quickly recap the question, please?
How do I find the difference between the synonyms?
Yeah, I got distracted. So can you please quickly remind me for the question?
Well, my question is actually how to make the speech more, eloquent and lush.
At first,
Not just understandable and good.
so it's about how to be more expressive,
Yes,
how to
yeah.
enrich your vocabulary. At first, so it's also about strategic learning. You have to know your topic and then try to watch a numerous of speakers on the topics. Then you find someone. Well, let's say let's say it's about language learning. If I have to enrich my vocabulary, then I think I will watch some YouTubers or some relative speech or YouTube or any kind of platforms that you think is possible, and then just watch it. And here also is about listening. Hear about the vocabulary that they use, and if you think that it suits your style, then you pick it and you check in a monolingual dictionary. And so it's another way to increase your vocabulary is about using the language to learn the language, not do the translation. So yeah, it's about now. Actually, it's good that we have Q&A. I can enrich on the points. It's why I recommend using monolingual dictionary, because often they're using the language, they're explaining the language, so you create more. Yeah, you can say like road. So here you can like I can go straight to point B, and I can also take a turn. So it increase your. What it means by take a turn, using another vocabulary. So that's the benefit of using monolingual dictionary.
Okay, one more.
Ni hao, Andy. I have a lot of Chinese friends and partners, and most of them have some problems with pronunciations, especially with the sound R in Russian. And I try to use it much more perfect than my friends. And I would like to know how do you learn this? How do you practice? Maybe some tricks.
How to practice?
Which I can recommend to my friends.
Is it specifically regarding to how?
Not only about this one sound is.
Pronunciation.
I just know this could be a problem with them, and because you haven't this sound in your language, but we have, and how to teach them.
The problem is not about sound. You can, because all we have a mouth, and all the sounds comes from our mouth. And if someone can pronounce it, actually everyone can pronounce it. The fact is that we have to hear the difference, try to hear. So also I will refer to one of my points, that is a lot of listening has to be done in order to identify how native speakers pronounce.
Okay, good, thanks. So I have the last question. So do you know some Russian words that you can pronounce right now? Like the words that you know perfectly?
Perfectly.
Yeah.
Actually, I can even give a speech in Russian.
Why not? Try to do that. I mean,
Okay, maybe I will do self-introduction, because I didn't do self-introduction.
Yeah, for example, for people who haven't understand who are you and everything, like, could you do it in Russian?
Конечно. Меня зовут Шэн Чанци, и я из Гонконга. Конечно, национальность это китаец. Я учусь у ФОН на первом курсе, но это не первый год, как я в России. Я в прошлом году тоже учился, но только русский язык на подготовительном отделении. Сейчас я изучаю специальность лингвистика. Да. И у меня хорошие преподаватели и одногруппники.
Clap your hands, guys. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Your presentation is really cool. Okay, guys, again, thank you to Andy. Clap your hands again. Thank you, man.